Hello, everybody. It's RM here from Positive Fandom. I hope you all are well. I did just want to do my short review of episode 3 of The Last of Us TV series on HBO Max. Now, as you guys know, I do a live stream of this show every Sunday night at 9:30 when the show premieres right here on Positive Fandom. So do be sure to check those out. And I've had some time to think about this episode, which really was something that I wasn't expecting. And I'm not quite sure why I felt that way. It is kind of interesting, though, that I feel like I should know exactly what is going to happen because I've played this video game so many times, guys. I've played it to the point of obsession almost. But I have to say that the episode was not what I was expecting. And maybe that's a good thing. You know, I know that sometimes we see different episodes of shows. And sometimes when we see these episodes, um, we think we know what's going to happen. We think we know what to expect. We think we know what direction they're going in. And I don't doubt that we got an incredible episode last week. Of course, there are spoilers here, so I do want to mention that as we go forward in this, and I'm going to put the banner on so that you know that there is spoilers for The Last of Us season 1, episode 3. So, as we're continuing the series, we come across maybe one of the sweetest and most endearing episodes, I think, so far. And honestly, I'm hearing a lot of things about the direction that the series is going and why it needed to go in this direction. And I've often said that the amount of material in The Last of Us, which is anywhere from 40 to 60 hours of gameplay, and guys, you can debate me on that. I certainly don't have it down to an exact number, but that's how long I played it and enjoyed it. Couldn't really fit into a movie well, or they could have taken a portion of time and made a film out of it. And I think they still might do that. But for this entertainment IP, this particular story, it needs more time to tell everything. And so they took their time here in episode 3, where we come across a couple, Bill and Frank. And this couple certainly do show us another side of what happens to some of the people in this, in this incredible situation. How would you handle being trapped, more or less, in a situation like this, where it's pretty much the apocalypse, and we come across somebody who is essentially a prepper, and this prepper goes ahead and shows us that sometimes there are more things to life, even during the apocalypse, that may come and take hold of you. And so when we start the episode, we kind of see Ellie and, of course, Joel together, and they are walking outside in a field and come across sort of this shallow grave of bones. And as I said before, I was concerned that once we saw these shallow grave of bones, it would mean that we were going to see something terrible. And no sooner had I said that they went to a flashback of a town that was being evacuated, a rural area, people kind of going into these trucks. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, they're not going to show us something that's so, terrifying, so horrific that, it's going to really scar us. Again, we've already had to go through the unfortunate death of Joel's daughter. What else could they put us through? And so, they spare us that, but they do kind of show us this town that Bill and Frank end up living in. And here's Bill, and he's essentially what you would call a prepper. And gee, being a prepper in this stage of the game is actually pretty great. You're prepared for all these horrible situations. You know what to do. They show the town being evacuated, and there is Bill just ready, hiding out, making sure that nobody can take him away. And they don't actually get to him. At least it seems like he manages to evade the trucks and all the people who are taking them away. And unfortunately, I think a lot of those people didn't make it, as we do see that they're the ones who are in this shallow grave that Bill and Ellie are crossing by. And of course, that's a hint that they may be going to Bill's house. Now, Bill's a prepper, and I think that preppers are amazing. And as I said earlier, I think that a lot of the prepping stems from trying to preserve and keep your family safe, because different things happen and you do have to have supplies in your house. But he does have quite a supply of weapons to protect himself, as well as food. I think he could survive anything. And here he is surviving in it. Certainly was amazing to see this man play such a interesting character. He's ready for what's coming along, and of course, that's Nick Offerman who plays Bill. Now, as he is kind of hiding away from everything, you see him, and he comes across somebody uh, who changes his life, and they describe it as love in the darkness. He meets this guy, Frank, who happens to fall onto his property. And when this happens, they start to get to know one another. And as they start to get to know one another, they start to fall in love with one another. And it's a very sweet, endearing episode. Very unexpected, but just a beautiful episode, I think. Really was absolutely beautiful what they did. But I also think that they wanted to do something like this. Raiders come in the night. And then, of course, there are these moments where one of them becomes so ill that he can't go on. And, it's kind of a sad moment between the two of them. One thing I would like to say is that I think I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of Tess and of Joel together, because they make a point of saying, at least in a note, where everything is left to Joel and Ellie to survive, to use. He knows that, the two of them are not going to make it. One of them doesn't want to leave without the other. And so he leaves everything to Joel, and he says, make sure you take care of Tess. And it was really a stinger, a zinger for Joel. He wasn't expecting that. And of course, right after losing Tess not long ago, there's this explanation, and a poor little Ellie feels, maybe in a sense that she just happened to be the person who came along. And maybe in Joel's eyes, he might feel that if I didn't have to take care of her, Tess would still be here. Of course, we know that's not true, but you know how sometimes people can think these things that aren't necessarily true. Ellie, of course, did nothing wrong, and that's not Joel, but they showed a tender moment between Joel and Tess, and I thought that we were going to get a little bit more of that to see how strong their relationship really was. We did see a love scene between the couple of Bill and Frank, and it was certainly a very intimate scene, a very loving scene. And so, I think that while it didn't necessarily coincide with the game, it certainly did tell us a little bit more, a little bit more of some of the stories that they want to tell us in The Last of Us. Of course, this was part of this story was in the game, but not in this much detail. And I think they went ahead and decided that they had to show us some tender moments to show that there's another side to Joel, even in this world where things are so uncertain. In an uncertain world, he had quite a relationship with Tess. They even share a meal with Bill and Frank, and it's a nice moment together. We see Bill and Frank kind of, one of them wanting to change the house, the other one saying, well, that's not necessary to change the house. And it was actually very sweet. But I admit that I would have liked to have seen more fighting. And as I've said before, during this point in the game, there was an incredible fight scene, which we might see later, but I really would have liked to have seen that just for the excitement portion. Although there are some night raids that happen during this time period. And I guess maybe it's over maybe a 10 or 15-year period that they're together. I can't remember the exact amount of time, but these two really do care for one another. And they end up leaving everything to Joel and Ellie. And I think that that's going to be a place where they can go to when they need to, if they're in town and they need a safe place. So it was very interesting episode. Certainly, we learned a lot more about what's going on and the idea that Joel does venture out to different places. So he knows the zone. When Ellie had asked him, Are we going to be safe in the zone out there outside of the quarantine zone? And he said yes. So it is true. He's been out there before. He knows what he's doing. I think they really showed us something very unique in this episode. And I guess they felt that they had to show us that unique thing in the episode. So it is what it is. We've got episode 4 coming up tonight. I can't believe already episode 4. Thanks everybody for watching along on my channel. The episodes, the watch party. I can't wait to see you guys at 9:30 tonight, which will be in a few hours. Hope everybody is doing well. And guys, for all of you out there, always remember, no matter where you are in the galaxy, guys, always remember to please be kind. Take care, everybody.